Right, I'm actually having to re-record over my recording, and I'll start by explaining what we're about here. This chap, HappyDolo, messaged me. He said he has a problem with blackball, and so I went into a room with him. Actually, he had a challenge room set, and he said he was having a problem when he got down to the blackball. And now, I'm not 100% certain of the rules of blackball, but as far as my knowledge goes, you don't have to call the black ball into a specific pocket, and somebody will correct me if I'm wrong in that. So anyway, we tried just doing a rerun of a rack, and HappyDolo has a weird problem that he tells me that he's been contacting support and trying to explain himself to support. And obviously, he's probably been doing that for a little while. Steve is now away on vacation. He should be back soon. What I'm going to do is I might need to turn the volume down because I'm talking on this recording that we're about to play back. But there's a very interesting bug. Now, the one thing I'm going to explain also is I don't know enough about all the other rule variants of 8-ball in VP4, but what I do know is that there is certainly one version of 8-ball where I believe in the advanced settings, because I remember doing it, I think we did it in testing, but black ball doesn't have this option that I'm about to explain. I don't know what version of 8-ball does, but what I do know is that at the end of the rack or in the advanced settings, you can choose how to end the rack. Now, by that I mean that you can have a variant where when you get to the 8-ball, the 8-ball has to be potted into the last pocket. Now, what that means is, if, for example, I potted my last red ball into that side pocket, and let's say the 8-ball was on the rail there, if my cue ball was up there, you would think I would just roll the 8-ball down the rail into that corner pocket. But with that rule variant in other versions of 8-ball, you can only pot the 8-ball into the pocket that you potted your last object ball, your last red ball in my case, in which case I'd have to pot it into the side. Now, bear in mind that rule, because as this rack goes on, you will see this unfold. There's a critical point in this rack that we're going to get to. I'm going to let it run, and there's a bit of messing about here. And right there, I'm starting to talk, so I'm going to shut myself down a wee bit. Now, there's a bit of messing about here. Let me just advance this a bit. Right, we'll watch it from here. Now, there is a critical point in this rack that you need to pay attention to. Now, HappyDolo's at the table. Right. So he's on the reds. Let me just shut myself right down if I can. Can I? Right, I think that's me shut down. So you'll only hear me now, right? He's just fouled there and he's given it to me, so I think I foul as well at some point. But this isn't important what's going on here, but it's important that there is a couple of critical points that I need to point out in this rack, which explains what I was talking about that 8-ball variant rule that's in one of the other 8-ball games. It is not in this game. I've already checked all the advanced settings in black ball. There is no variant in how you end the rack in black ball. So HappyDolo's still at the table. So we're just messing about trying to get these balls down to actually try and finish the rack. But believe me, when we get to the critical point, you're going to notice the weirdness of what's happening with HappyDolo. Now, the strangest thing of all is, to his knowledge, this isn't happening with anybody else. This isn't anything that anybody else has mentioned. So we're going to still mess about here. I'm just trying to play dirty. Right, he pots this red into the side. Now, there's an important thing to keep your eye on. I've got a yellow ball up at that top end of the table there. And I believe it is that yellow ball that is partly to do with how this rack ends. Now, keep your eye on that yellow ball. And also, you need to pay attention to where HappyDolo pots his last red, because that is very important. I'll tell you right now, his last red and that yellow there. Now, I've just thin cut that yellow. That's one of them out of the way. And now I've got a touching ball, so I'm just going to play to a rail. I don't even know. I never read what the rule was there. I just decided I'm going to play to a rail. I don't know whether it said I need to hit a rail or whatever. I don't know. I haven't a clue. Anyway, I've just hit a rail, and now HappyDolo's back at the table. Now, again, keep your eye on that yellow up top, and keep your eye on where HappyDolo pots his last red before he gets to the 8-ball. And that will then fully explain the weirdness that I'm talking about. Now, we tested this in a match room, and as far as I know, when we tested it in a match room, not a challenge room, everything was okay. He said it was fine. So I've already covered that part of it. So he's now blocked that pocket for my yellow, and I'm going to scratch in that other corner pocket there. So he's got 2 shots. I'm trying to get him to finish the rack. So again, just a reminder, watch that yellow ball up top. So he's now going to use that yellow to pot my, to pot his red. So now look at where the yellow is. It's right over that corner pocket. Now that's my last yellow. So pay attention to that. That's very important. So he's potting the red, and watch the cue ball. Now, he has just potted my last yellow, so therefore my last yellow has gone into that pocket, right? That's important. And this last red, he's going to try and pot it into this pocket, and then he'll be on the 8-ball. Now, remember what I said earlier on about the 8-ball rule variants that there are in some of these 8-ball games? Not this one, but some of them do have advanced options where you can decide how the rack is going to end. And like the last ball, like I mentioned earlier on, say for example, the last red went into the side, you would have to pot the 8-ball into the side. You would have no other options. The only way you could win the game is potting the 8-ball on the side. So just to refresh our memories again, HappyDolo has bumped my last yellow into that pocket, and he potted that red, his last red, into that pocket. Now, in normal black ball, the obvious thing you'd want to do is cut that black into that pocket, right? So let's just play it from here. Hang on a minute. Right. So in the chat, I've asked him to tell me what's happening. So now he's trying every pocket to see where he can pot the ball. Now remember, his last red went into that pocket, and the only one he can highlight is that pocket. He can't pot it into that pocket. That's the bug. That's the weirdness about the whole thing. And I'll tell you another thing. Remember that my last yellow went into that pocket. He's about to hang the 8-ball, and then I come to the table. And the point I'm making here is is that because my last yellow was put in that pocket, when I get to the table, the only pocket I can put the 8-ball in is that pocket, and it just so happens that the 8-ball's hanging over that pocket. That's what's going to happen. And it is totally weird. Now, I'm trying to just clarify with as much information as I can. I said, so it's only letting you pot the 8-ball into the last pocket you sunk your last red ball. And that is that ball, that pocket there in the bottom right-hand corner. I'll try the obvious and pocket and see what happens. Well, he actually misses it. But yeah, he's actually now I'm coming to the table and I find out that I can't nominate any of these pockets. I can't choose any of them at all. It will only let me choose that one over where the 8-ball is, which is where my last yellow went. Now, if you look there, it's immediately let me try them. I'm trying all the other pockets, nothing's happening, and I can only pot it into that pocket. So that is a weird glitch with 8-ball rules that has infected blackball, but it's only infected blackball for HappyDolo. So, Steve, work this one out, because I've just, after all this was done, I went into a challenge room on my own. I set up the challenge room. Nobody was going to come in it because I locked it. And I did all the testing myself, got to the 8-ball, and there was nothing restricted me in what pocket I had to pot it in. So this is an issue that is happening with HappyDolo, and to my knowledge, it's not happening with anyone else, but it will happen in a challenge room with him. And why it does it, only Steve will know. Have fun with that one.